Now, live from Hooley's Irish Pub and Grill, it's the Aztec Coaches Show. Here's your host, Chris Ello.
That's right, they can rain out Game 6 of the World Series, but nothing can stop the Aztec Coaches Show. Welcome, everybody, to Hooley's Irish Pub and Grill here in Grossmont Center. Let's hear you out there, folks. Tonight, along with the head coach of the San Diego State Aztecs, Rocky Long, I am Chris Ello, and of course, Hooley's Irish Pub and Grill, the official sponsor for our Aztec Coaches Show with Rocky Long, home to the famous corned beef tacos, other award-winning menu items, and of course, every Wednesday night throughout this season, we've got the coach of the Aztecs, Rocky Long, alongside for the next hour to talk Aztec football with you and with us. We also thank our friends at Quality First Real Estate, San Diego's top real estate company. We can help you buy, sell, and manage San Diego real estate. When it comes to real estate, it's always Quality First, quick qualityfirstrealestate.com. All right, well, let's hear it for the 4-2 head coach of the San Diego State Aztecs, Rocky Long. Coach, I don't have any questions left for you. What have you been doing for the last 15 days? And we know that there hasn't been any games, but finally Saturday we get a game to play, and I know you're pretty excited about teeing it up again.
Yeah, thank God we get to play again. I mean, we sit here and stare at each other for the next hour because we talked all about it last week, right?
Yeah, we can't really talk too much about the Air Force game. I think we got that covered. But you and I talked a little bit earlier this week about you had a chance, and I did as well, to watch Air Force play Boise State on Saturday, and I'll tell you one thing. I mean, Boise State, one of the top teams in the country, and I don't think there's anybody in the Western U.S. who doubts that, but they really had their hands full trying to stop that Air Force option attack, and I was kind of glad to see somebody else struggle to stop that option attack after watching you guys play Army and Navy and playing against Cal Poly and Air Force yourselves, and you've been saying it all along. It is a tough offense to stop, and Boise found out all about it.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I think that if Boise State wasn't as talented as they are, I think maybe that Air Force could have had about 500 yards rushing. They're so talented on defense. Their front seven is so good that they had guys that were beating double teams and making the tackle on the fullback for a 3 or 4 yard gain. But they also did in a couple other times, too. I remember 3rd and 21 where they ran the triple option, handed to the fullback. He got 23 yards in the first down. So, I mean, I keep telling you it's the best offense there is out there. It's just that only the academies can run it for a lot of reasons. You can't recruit to it because everybody wants to be an NFL player, right? And most people want to see the ball in the air. They want to see a pro-type attack. So you have a hard time selling tickets to it unless you're in an academy.
Well, we'll get to, of course, we're done with Air Force finally, and with a nice victory back-to-back years, beating Air Force and going to 4-2. But we got the Wyoming Cowboys coming up this Saturday. We're going to talk a little bit about the first half of the season and what you think about your team and some of the performances you've gotten from some of your players. But let's talk a little first, Coach, about this game coming up Saturday night against Wyoming and tell the fans a little bit about what to expect. I don't think people realize both you and Wyoming opened the season 3-0. Then both of you guys lost 2 games, and then both of you guys won to go to 4-2, and then both of you had a week off. You had a little longer stretch off than they did, but you're both coming off a bye week, so they've had some extra time to prepare. You've had some extra time to prepare, and both teams are probably looking forward to hitting somebody on Saturday night. This seems like a really even matchup, even though the odds makers say differently.
Well, I don't know what the odds makers do. I think it's all about trying to get people to bet money. I don't think they have any. I don't think they have any insight to who the better team is.
Yeah.
They put a line out there and people start betting money, and if you're only betting on one team, they start jacking up the point total to get people to bet on the other team. So when people look at a point spread, it has nothing to do with how the two teams compare.
You mean you didn't just come into you're not going into the game Saturday night against Wyoming looking at the point spread, putting that up on the chalkboard in the locker room and going, well, guys, there's the point spread, so we don't have to go out and really do much tonight.
Well, no, I'm not doing that.
You're not doing that, yeah, right.
I think it's going to be a very close game. I think the matchup is unbelievable. I mean, the records are 4-2, they're 1-0 in conference, we're 1-1 in conference. They want to win the conference championship, so do we. We can't lose another game and still have a chance to win the conference championship. They could probably lose a game, but they want to be undefeated, obviously. The two teams, if you look at statistics, They're number 3 in the league in scoring. We're number 4 in the league in scoring. And there's only 1 point difference between us in scoring, defense. These are obviously these are the most important stats: points for and points against.
Yeah, that's right.
All those other stats can go out the window. If you look, so they're 3 and we're 4 on points scored. Points against, we're 3 and they're 4, and there's about a 3-point difference. You can even go down to, you can look at rushing offense. We're right on top of one another. You look at passing offense. We're right next to each other. If you look at turnover ratio, we're 1, they're 3. We're a plus 1.5 per game. In other words, we cause 1.5 more turnovers than we give up a game. They're at 1 per game. I mean, you can go right down the stat sheet, and it looks like 2 identical teams. Now we don't run the same offense. We don't run the same defense. But I think both teams have confidence. I think both teams know how important this game is, and I think it's going to be a great game to watch.
Yeah, I was looking at Wyoming stats today. They do have a freshman quarterback, a true freshman quarterback who's played very, very well for them. Has some very good passing numbers. I think he's number 2 in the conference in total yardage per game, only trailing Kellen Moore. He has a 4-2 record. That's the second best record of any freshman quarterback in the entire nation. So this is a young man who started his career very, very well for Wyoming. With your defense to try to confuse teams, obviously, and get them off their game. But if you look at Wyoming, and you just said it, they haven't committed very many turnovers. They've only committed 8 turnovers all year. They've only allowed 6 sacks all year. So they haven't allowed a lot of the things that you like to do with your defense. So that seems to be a very interesting matchup to me.
Well, I think they've got really I think they have a pretty good football team. They've got experienced offensive line. They've got good running backs. They have excellent wide receivers. But what else they have is really good coaches. And when you have a freshman quarterback, you do things on offense to make sure that he doesn't have to make complicated decisions. So you will see more empty, or you'll see more formations with nobody in the backfield this week than anybody we play or anybody that we've played up to this point. So if you put 5 guys out there and spread them from sideline to sidelines, it makes it much easier for the quarterback to read the coverage, makes it much better for the quarterback to see where the blitzes are coming from. It makes everything easier for the quarterback so that when he wants to throw the ball, he can get rid of it to the right receiver and do it quickly, and you don't get to hit him or sack him. And now if they see you lined up in order to take away the passing game, in other words, you spread everybody out so that there's no passing seams, and you tell him that nobody's blitzing, well, now he feels comfortable, and he can spend as much time as he wants waiting for a receiver to come open, because you have to give away the blitz. When they spread you from sideline to sideline, you have to walk guys in there to blitz. So he knows the blitz is coming. They have blitz beaters out on patterns and coverages. And then when you spread out and say, okay, we're going to let you sit back there for a while and throw the ball because you can't throw it very good, but he can throw it very good. He knows in his own heart that he's comfortable, he's got time, he can wait for receivers to come open. So they got a freshman quarterback that's talented, but the coaches have done a great job making the job easy for him to excel.
The other thing that they have is a pretty good running game, and they're averaging actually more yards rushing per game than you guys are. Ronnie Hillman, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, has taken over the national lead in rushing right now. He is the #1 running back in all of college football, averaging 138 yards per game. But that said, you have Ronnie Hillman, they have 3 or 4 guys, and when they put them all together, they're actually averaging more yards rushing per game this year than you're averaging. So you can't just sit there and load up to stop the passing game, because they will run on you if you don't pay attention to that. So they provide a very difficult challenge for you, a lot more difficult than I think anybody realizes.
Well, people that believe in the point spread don't realize it, I'll promise you that.
Yeah, that's right.
But the people that study film and watch film know that it's a very close matchup, and the two teams are about the same talent level. The two teams want to win just as much, and I think it'll be a great game, and hopefully we come out on top.
All right, it's the Aztecs and the Wyoming Cowboys coming up on Saturday night. We'll have some more questions for the coach, Rocky Long. We will also have a segment here at Hooley's Irish Pub and Grill in Grossmont Center. I see some fresh faces out there tonight that may not have been with us throughout the season. We do a segment on the show where you out there get to ask questions to the coach, Rocky Long. So come up with some questions here in the next 10, 15 minutes. We'll pass the microphone around, give you a chance to ask some questions. If you're listening to the program tonight on the radio and you can't get down here to Hooley's, you can call in. Local phone number is 858-569-TALK. And if you're watching us on the internet, we say hello to everybody around the world. And we're not just joking about that. We've had viewership in Africa and the Philippines and all over the place watching the Aztec Coaches Show throughout this season. But if you're anywhere near a phone, you can call toll-free. Kevin Boyle will pick up the tab right here, 800-600-KOGO. So if you have any questions for Coach Rocky Long, he'll be with us up until 8 o'clock tonight, and we will be happy to take those phone calls. We'll take a quick time out, come back with more Aztec Coaches Show. Welcome, everybody, to Hooley's Irish Pub and Grill. Thanks for coming out on this Wednesday night from Learfield Sports and AM 600 KOGO. Hey, gang, back at you here, Hooley's Irish Pub and Grill. Grossmont Center, the site of the Aztec Coaches Show. Chris Ello along with Rocky Long. And, hey, we remind you there are some tickets still available for Saturday night's game. They're expecting 35,000, maybe even up towards 40,000 for the game on Saturday night. Looking for a big crowd, but there are some tickets still available for the game against Wyoming. Tickets for the game start at only $11. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. this Saturday night. We'll be on the air on AM 600 KOGO with the pregame show at 6 o'clock. Aztecs in Wyoming, both teams 4-2. You want to purchase tickets, you can call 619-283-SDSU, or you can log on to goaztecs.com. We also remind you, fans here at Hooley's and those listening, that the Warrior Walk will take place at 5 o'clock. Remember, the Warrior Walk is always 2 hours prior to game time. This Saturday, you got to be part of this tradition when the team makes the walk into Qualcomm Stadium, starting in the E3 F3 parking area, finishing in the Aztec Village in parking area F1. So make sure you get out to the game early, Saturday, 5 o'clock for the Warrior Walk, and cheer the team as they come into the stadium and get ready to prepare to take on the Wyoming Cowboys. How much do the guys like that Warrior Walk? I know when Coach Hoke started it a couple of years ago, I think there was actually some Aztec fans who even kind of scoffed at the idea of doing something like that. But I've only had a chance to see one of them because I'm always inside or something. But I saw the one before the Poinsettia Bowl last year against Navy when you guys came walking in. And it's really something to be part of. I mean, it really is. And it's turning into quite the nice tradition right now. And I know I had some friends who were there for the TCU game, and they said it was really a blast.
Yeah, I think it's a great tradition, and it seems to get bigger and bigger as it's moving along. I think our players really look forward to it. I think it's special to them. I think seeing all those people out there and they line the way for them to walk through, they get to see family and friends as they're going into the game, but just the whole atmosphere. And I was on the very first one, and there weren't many people there, and nobody knew what was going on, and it seemed maybe that it wouldn't work, but it's something special now. I really think it's special, and I think our players really look forward to it.
I think the other thing that's really happening right now is the buzz about your football team is the students are really responding at San Diego State. I mean, a couple of years ago, maybe 2, 3, 4 years ago, you brought your New Mexico team in here and maybe had to deal with 200-300 students. Now teams are coming here to play San Diego State, and they're dealing with 7,000-8,000 students, and that just makes for a great scene. And that's what makes college football special, is that you've got the student section. And I think everybody saw what went on at Viejas Arenas last year, and they're trying to duplicate it as much as they can now at the Q for you.
Yeah, we have a few more seats.
You got a few more seats available.
A few more
yeah.
students, but I think the student section's been amazing, and I don't think the students and I don't think our fans realize how big a difference it makes to the home team when you have energetic, supportive, enthusiastic fans that are loud enough to make a difference. I really think that the fans have made a big difference in a couple of our games at home. And the student sections are it seems that the energy comes away from them and expands through the whole stadium. I mean, it's really nice to walk out there and see them there. And here again, I think it makes a big difference to the players. And I think when you get into a struggle, the fans, if you have great home field advantage, the fans can get you over the hump and allow you to get to a sticking point and have a chance to win the game.
Well, you guys have been playing great in the second half all season long, and I think that you're right. The fans definitely had a lot to do with that Washington State come-from-behind victory, and also a near come-from-behind victory over TCU. I think people forget you were down 20-0 in that football game, but nobody ever gave up the ship, and I thought the crowd was pretty good and brought you guys back to within 6 there in the fourth quarter, and you were maybe one pass away from getting back and taking the lead in that game against TCU. So the home field advantage is definitely starting to turn in your favor. Of course, in this Wyoming series, now it's been the visiting team that's won the last 2 games. They came in here a couple of years ago, and they handed you guys a very painful loss, if I recall. You guys had a 27-6 lead going into the fourth quarter. They scored 24 unanswered points, and they walk out of here with a 30-27 win. I think that turned their whole season around. They ended up going to a bowl game that year, and you guys ended up missing the bowl game. Last year, you returned the favor in Laramie in what was really an entertaining game, 48-38. I was looking at the numbers. Ronnie Hillman only rushed for 44 yards in that game last year. It was really the Ryan Lindley show as the passing game took over. But these two teams have a way of playing close, high-scoring, fun games.
Yeah, I think that's because what we talked about earlier. I think the talent level is very equal. I think both teams understand the importance of the game. I think both teams will play extremely hard. And when you get two teams of equal ability that are playing just as hard as the other team, things like that happen. I mean, it might be a 10-7 game, though, and that'd be all right with me, too.
You want to see one of those, don't you?
If we had the 10, it'd be okay.
As long as we've got the 10. Yeah, you're looking for one of those. I know that I keep talking to you about how good your defense has played in the second half this year. You've allowed 1 touchdown in the second half of each game, and the numbers really bear it out. Teams are averaging about 100 yards more in the first half than they're getting against you in the second half. Tells me a few things. A, you guys are making great adjustments. B, your kids are in good shape, and they're playing stronger in the second half. But I think you want that to be a little bit better. You want to see some of those second half numbers be the first half numbers, don't you?
I'd like to see the whole game be the second half numbers.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that all those yards they make in one half was for the whole game.
The whole deal, yeah.
And that's going to happen sooner or later. I would like it to happen this Saturday.
Maybe it'll happen this Saturday night. We'll all find out. We got to take a quick time out. Any of you guys have some questions out there for the coach, Rocky Long? Your chance is coming up to ask him some stuff. You can call us at 858-569-TALK. That's 858-569-TALK. Or toll-free 800-600-KOGO. We'll take a brief break for a news update, then come back with more. The Aztec Football Coaches Show. Chris Ello along with the coach of the Aztecs, Rocky Long, from Learfield Sports and AM 600 KOGO. All right, folks, let's go. Second half, kicking things off when we are here live at Hooley's Irish Pub and Grill. There are 2 fantastic locations. Craig is so gracious to host us here at Grossmont Center every Wednesday night. Chris Ello, along with Aztec coach Rocky Long, but also Hooley's Irish Pub and Grill in Rancho San Diego as well. That's my hometown. Have you ever been out to Rancho San Diego yet, Coach?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Well, look me up someday out there. Got a little pool. We could sit in the back and chat if you like. But both locations have great award-winning food, great draft and bottled beer selections, fantastic happy hour specials as well, which many of you are enjoying here at Hooley's tonight. You can click Hooley's.com for directions and more. Hooley's, the official host location of the Aztec Football Coaches Show. And, of course, if you are interested in buying, selling, or leasing a commercial property, our friends at Quality First Commercial is a full-service commercial real estate firm. You can visit our website, qualityfirstcommercial.com. QFC is here for all of your commercial real estate needs. And we are going to get into some questions now for Aztec head coach Rocky Long. Polly has got the mic. Let's hear it for Polly out there with a microphone. She does a fabulous job. The lovely, the wonderful, the talented Polly. And our first question of the night for head coach Rocky Long. Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi, Coach. You've had 2 bye weeks to work with the younger players, and you've also said that the program is going to be progressing farther and better than what it is right now. My question is, from what you've seen in the 2 bye weeks and working with those, we're going to be losing senior offensive linemen, quarterback, some other experienced players. Have you seen some progress that we're going to have some people replacing those people next year so that the team can progress to the next level athletically, as well as maybe some very good athletes on the wide receivers? Also, all those running backs we have you decided who's going to be a running back and what other positions they're going to play?
That's a pretty detailed
Short question for you, Coach. Yep, we got 23 minutes. Go.
Okay. No, number one, we in the bye week, it's like going to a bowl game. You have time to practice with the younger guys. They get to run your offense and your defense. I think through recruiting and the way they're being trained, our talent level is improving. You can never beat experience, though. Next year, we'll be a fairly young team, and we'll be playing a lot of young guys in the offensive line, and that's probably the number one place you don't want to play young guys. We'll have an inexperienced quarterback. We will have 3 or 4 inexperienced wide receivers, but the talent level is improving, and the way they're being trained now is making them make really good progress. You can never beat a team that has a majority of seniors. If you have equal talent ability, the experienced team's always going to win out. And last 2 years we've had the benefit of having a big group of seniors. Last year I think there was 19 or 20 of them. This year we have 20 seniors on the team. Next year we'll have 8. There's only 8. Well, there'll probably be about 12 juniors on the team now. Only 8 of them are on scholarship. We only have 8 scholarship juniors. So next year our senior class will be really small, so we'll be playing a lot of young players. I think people will be impressed with the way they play. I think they'll be impressed with their talent level. There'll be more mistakes made next year than we're making this year just because of the inexperience factor.
How fun is it, though, as a college football coach to just kind of watch a young man grow from being a freshman all the way up to a senior? I mean, I've had a thrill. This is my 4th year doing the games with Ted on the radio, and watching guys like Jerome Long and remembering what he was like as a freshman and then a sophomore, and then now looking at Jerome Long dominating. I think he's got to be an all-Mountain West Conference selection this year with the way he's played so far. And if they're overlooking him in the balloting, they're overlooking one of the more dominant defensive linemen in the league. Miles Burris, I think, is a story, and I don't know if everybody really realizes. I mean, you all know what a great player Miles is, and you saw what he did last year, and you're seeing what he's doing this year. But the thing I love about Miles Burris is his first year, he wasn't even on the team. He was on the scout team. He was a guy that was just coming out on his own accord just to help practice, and he was named the Scout Team Player of the Year. And then I remember him as a sophomore on the special teams running around making every single tackle, and I think Ted and I looked at each other and said, I think this Miles Burris might be pretty good someday, once they give him a shot. And now he's turned into an all-conference player. That's the real fun of college football, to watch these kids grow up.
One of the best things about being a college football coach is watching the difference between them being 17 and 18-year-old freshmen and them being 22 and 21, 22, or 23-year-old seniors. I mean, when they get to be seniors, the majority of them, and I mean 99% of them are men. When they walk in, they're little boys. I mean, from getting them to go to class when nobody's watching them. Freshmen, they're missing class all the time. We have to beat them over the head, and we have to threaten them with running at 5 o'clock in the morning. And some of them are running at 5 o'clock in the morning because no matter what you do to them, they're on their own for their first time, and they don't think they have to do those kind. When you have a senior, guess what? They go to class. They know how important it is to get a college education. I mean, it's just you never have to worry about them, and you're worrying about the young ones all the time. But when you see them mature, they mature as football players too, and they're a lot better players as seniors than they are as freshmen. But you watch them mature in all the other aspects of life. It's really fun to watch.
It is amazing, and then you get the turnover every year. You've got the young guys coming in, and you got the younger guys that are now the older guys, and then you always have some guys moving on. All right, the next question for Coach Rocky Long comes from this side of the palace that is Hooley's Irish Pub and Grill here in Grossmont Center.
This one might be pointed,
This one could be a tough question.
He
All
might
right,
he
here
might
we go.
know the inside of the team.
Here we go.
Coach, I don't have a football question for you.
Uh-oh.
So I don't want to embarrass myself. Just an apology and a suggestion. I want to apologize and thank you for not running over my wife and my mother-in-law in the Warrior Walk. They didn't know they were supposed to not be in the walk, but supposed to be watching the walk. So thank you for not trampling them. My suggestion is there any way you can add haircuts to the dress code?
We do have some kids that have some long hair on the football team. There's no question about it. I don't understand why a kid would want his hair hanging out the back of his helmet when you're playing tackle football, because it's legal for the other guy to grab it, isn't it?
It is legal to grab the hair. Yeah, that's not like the horse collar. I mean, you can pull them down by their hair.
Yeah.
I don't. We have a lot of rules and regulations, so you try to not have too many.
Yeah.
And college is a way to express your own personality. To a point. In college, you should be able to express your own personality. And for some young men, the way they wear their beard, if they can grow one, some of them can't,
right.
But the way they wear their mustache or their beard or their hair is them expressing their own personality.
Yeah.
But if a father wanted to make his son cut his hair, I think a father could do that for sure.
You'd be more than happy to have him do that. I'm thinking that maybe 10 years ago or something, and you could tell me, but there was probably a time when coaches around the country probably dabbled with the rule of saying to their players, hey, no tattoos. I don't want any of my players to have tattoos. Now, you couldn't even remotely suggest that anymore, or you wouldn't even be able to field a team. Right?
Yeah, I haven't addressed that one.
No, I wouldn't
We have
address
guys with tattoos, yeah.
I know. I mean, I wouldn't even bother.
And I'm not going to address it either.
No. Well, you'd have, you would keep, no, you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. I don't think you could put a team out there this weekend. Next question for the coach, Rocky Long. Yes, sir.
Those 5 linemen have pretty much been together, and it's kind of tradition when 5 guys like that, mostly a group of linemen, are together so long, they name themselves. Do they have a nickname that they call themselves or the team calls them?
They don't have a nickname that the team calls them, because I'd have heard that one. They might have a nickname that they keep secret to themselves, but no, I haven't heard a name they call the offensive lineman, no.
One thing
do you have one for them?
Yeah, you got any ideas? Maybe we should come up with a couple of ideas for the Aztec offensive line. I'll tell you what, you're that group up front with Gunther and Embernati and Alec Johnson. How's Alec Johnson doing ever since he broke his arm? He's still broken, right? I mean, it's not 100% healed, but he hasn't missed a snap for you. Emilio Rivera stepped in there, done a nice job. Tommy Draheim. I don't know if people remember Tommy Draheim is your left tackle. He was Ryan Lindley's center in high school out here at El Capitan. So he and Ryan have known each other for a long, long time. And then Ryan Lindley has become kind of I think a lot of quarterbacks want to become a de facto member of the offensive line. I think it's kind of a macho thing to do. But I get the feeling, and I could be wrong, but they really do kind of accept Ryan as that kind of a tough sucker who could be part of an offensive line as a quarterback.
That just shows you what a good quarterback Ryan Lindley is.
Yeah.
Because he knows how important those guys are to him, so he makes sure they know how important they are. And so they include him in their group, which is quite an honor for a quarterback to be included in with the offensive lineman, and it's a sign of respect on both sides, from the quarterback and from the offensive lineman. Now, some of it is, I read this in the newspaper.
Okay.
I think one night a week he feeds them too.
Yeah.
And
I read that also.
The best way to the heart of an offensive lineman is to feed them.
No question about that. Yeah, those guys don't miss any of the meals, but they're doing a fantastic. Do you agree that they're doing a good job this year, offensive line? I mean, opening up lanes for Ronnie Hillman, protecting Ryan Lindley. I know that the fact you've only allowed 3 sacks, that is not all because of great play by the offensive line. That is a lot of Lindley getting rid of the football, but it has to at least be partly due to the job they've done on the offensive line to pick up blitzes, et cetera. It seems like they've played awfully well.
I think if you take the entire season, the offensive linemen have played really well. I think we had a game, and I'm not going to bring it up. I think we had a game that I didn't think the offensive line played very well. And that was explained to them, and it just so happened that the very next game they played their best game of the year. Anytime you don't get your quarterback sacked and he can complete a high percentage of his passes, and anytime you have a running back that leads the nation in rushing, I don't care how talented that quarterback is and how talented that running back is, they don't lead the nation in rushing unless the big boys up front are opening up holes.
Yeah.
That's just the way it works. You got to hold you.
And Ronnie Hillman is so quick to make sure that he always points that out too. I mean, he is such a delight. I had him on my radio show the other day, but Ronnie Hillman, I mean, not only is he obviously a special running back, but seems like such a special young kid. I mean, we're talking about a sophomore. I mean, he's in his third year, so he's still growing up, as we were talking about before. But he doesn't even want to get caught up in any kind of the hype or All-American stuff or Heisman talk or who's leading the nation in rushing. The only thing you can ever get him to admit is that he wants to do everything he can to help you win the game. And that is really refreshing to hear from a young man in this day and age.
Well, I think that's the way a team should be, but I guess we're lucky because that's the way everybody on our team is.
Yeah.
And when good guys are in control of and I'm talking about inner circle, and that means the players, when the good guys on your team, because every team has a small percentage that you worry about all the time and that might not be in the boat with you. There's always a small percentage. But when the good guys are in charge of your team, guess what? You have no problems team-wise because they're all playing for each other. And they're not playing for themselves. They're all playing for each other.
And nobody wants to miss out on it. I mean, just real quick, heading into the Wyoming game, Gavin Escobar, who suffered an injury in the Air Force game, didn't look like he'd be coming back for a couple of weeks. He wants to come back. He wants to play. I get the feeling that is as much about him wanting to play, but also about making sure that he doesn't let the rest of his teammates down. And I thought you had the same thing with Alec Johnson earlier in the year. These are injuries where these kids could have missed a couple of games, but they don't want to let down the rest of their team. And I think that brings everybody even closer together.
I think that's the biggest factor. I think all players want to play.
Sure.
But I think the biggest factor of players playing with injuries is their teammates. That they think their teammates need them. They also need their teammates too, but if they think they're going to miss a game then it's going to cause you a problem, they're willing to play through some pain and through some injuries for their teammates, and it's all about their teammates.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is a very close-knit group. The San Diego State Aztecs 4-2 with 6 games left to go in this 2011 season, and then a bowl game most certainly to follow after that as the Aztecs look for victory number 5 this Saturday night against Wyoming. We'll come back. Good questions out there from you guys here at Hooley's. We'll take a quick break here, come back and wrap things up with the head coach of the Aztecs. We got our California Bank and Trust Student Athlete of the Week to recognize as well. Chris Ello, Coach Rocky Long, the Aztec Coaches Show from Hooley's Irish Pub and Grill from Learfield Sports and AM 600 Kogo. All right, gang, we got to finish it up strong. Fourth quarter, final segment of the Aztec Football Coaches Show. Let's hear you out there at Hooley's Irish Pub and Grill, Grossmont Center, along with the head coach of the Aztecs, Rocky Long, Chris Ello here. And don't forget, Saturday night we'll be on the air with a pregame show at 6 o'clock right here on AM 600 Kogo. And then 7 o'clock, the Aztecs take on the Wyoming Cowboys. 5 o'clock is the time to be at the stadium for the Warrior Walk, starting in section E3 and F3 of the parking lot area. And of course the Warrior Walk finishes in the Aztec Village in parking area F1. You don't want to miss out on the Warrior Walk, so make your plans to be out at the game by 5 o'clock, a couple of hours before game time on Saturday. We'll take a moment now to honor to this week's California Bank and Trust Student Athlete of the Week. California Bank and Trust proud to recognize San Diego State's outstanding student athletes, and this week's winner is a repeat winner from years past, one of the real outstanding women's soccer players in the nation. Our California Bank and Trust Student Athlete of the Week is Kat Walker of the San Diego State women's soccer team. She was named Mountain West Offensive Player of the Week. Big games last weekend against Wyoming and Air Force. Kat Walker scored the game winner against both teams, and her goal just 6 minutes into play against Wyoming proved to be enough. A couple of days later, she scored just 59 seconds into overtime to lead the Aztecs to their 4th straight win on the road. Kat Walker missed the 2010 season due to injury, but this season, her final senior season with San Diego State, and she is having another outstanding year, leading the team in both goals and points this season. So we congratulate Kat Walker, this week's California Bank and Trust Student Athlete of the Week. And she's a good one, too. And the women's soccer teams, they're playing well right now. I know the men's soccer team in the top 25, they're playing well. Women's volleyball's playing well. San Diego State football is playing well, and I know you're proud of all of them, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to get on a roll. If you can get everybody playing well, it seems to carry over to every sport.
Well, let's talk one last couple of notes here as we go into the Wyoming game on Saturday night. Defensively, I thought you guys flew around about as well as you can against Air Force, had a good second half. Do you change your mindset at all on defense now that you're kind of done with the option and you got Wyoming coming in? How many different deals do you have to work on now that you've put the option aside for the time being?
The defense has to be completely different.
Totally different. Yeah.
Totally different. I mean, you have to worry about now. Their running game is based on the option. I mean, they run what you call zone read, where the quarterback will ride the running back in the backfield out of the shotgun. They'll read the end man on the line of scrimmage. If he closes, the quarterback keeps the ball. If he doesn't close, the quarterback hands it to the zone read guy, and then they get enough blockers on people that there's seams in there for the running back to go. So a lot of the same thoughts go into the running game as the triple option. The difference is it's one guy and he's in the backfield and the quarterback's in the shotgun. Now the problem that they present is now they spread you from sideline to sideline with wide receivers. So you have to decide if you're going to go out there and man them up and keep enough guys in the box to slow the running game down, or you're going to spread your guys out to make sure that you can play zone coverage and try to disrupt the passing seams and all the areas that they can throw the ball in, and then try to react to the run when they actually got more guys in there to block than you have to defend it. So you have different problems, and you have to line up your defense differently. And they watch from the sidelines, which is probably
that's become commonplace now. Yeah,
it's been the last 5 or 6 years where they line up and they let you line up and they act like they're going to snap the ball, and they see where you're going to be, and then they all stand up and turn and look at the sidelines, and someone up in the press box now knows exactly what the right play to call is. So then they signal in the play, and then they snap the ball, and they always run the right play.
That's not right, man. That's not fair.
I agree.
Can you change quickly enough on defense to counterattack that, or do you not have time once you line up and show? I mean, that's the trick and the fun of it all is to who's going to declare last, I guess, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's fun for coaches because you obviously when they're looking to the sideline for the exact right play, your guy's going to look to the sideline and get a different defense.
That's right.
I mean, so you're jockeying back and forth, and sometimes I think they're giving false signals, and sometimes we're giving false signals. I think it should be a player's game. I think all the coaches should just stand on the sidelines and do nothing and let the players play. I think they ought to go in a huddle, come out of a huddle. It's long.
That's the old days.
It's long past that, yeah.
No, there's no more huddles anymore. Hey, thanks again to Rocky Long, who teaches us so much about football every single Wednesday night. We got to get out of here, folks. We want to thank everybody, starting at the top with Craig at Hooley's Irish Pub and Grill, for hosting us again this week. Our on-site engineer, the great Kevin Boyle, my darling Tiffany, and the rest of the promotion staff. Thanks for helping to take care of us here tonight as well. Nate from the Learfield Sports office was here tonight, and back in the studio, Kevin Finnerty. For the coach, Rocky Long, I'm Chris Ello. So long, everybody. We'll see you Saturday night at the Q when the Aztecs take on Wyoming right here on AM 600 Kogo. Good night, everyone.